You've seen the beaches, but the real D-Day started years earlier. Quiet plans, bold deception, wild engineering, and one gutsy weather call. Here's how the Allies pulled off the most audacious invasion in history. By 1944, Europe had lived under a deep Nazi shadow for years. The Allies were grinding forward, Italy pushing, the Eastern Front roaring. To truly break the grip, they needed a new doorway in the West, a massive invasion of France. The plan was Operation Overlord, the most ambitious amphibious assault ever imagined. Land hundreds of thousands in Normandy, hold the shore, then roll inland to liberate France and march on Germany. The stakes weren't just high, they were existential. Blow this, and you could lose the war. An operation this big needed one decisive leader. American General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander, had final say on everything. Pressure like a planet on his shoulders. He even wrote a note taking full blame if it all failed. Under him, a stacked roster. British General Bernard Montgomery, brilliant, sometimes prickly, led the ground assault at the start. Air Chief Marshal Trafford Lee Mallory commanded the skies. Admiral Bertram Ramsay, veteran of Dunkirk, steered the vast naval armada, Operation Neptune. Big minds, big egos, plenty of arguments. But the mission was bigger than the personalities. Blend American industrial muscle with British experience. Make the machine hum. Millions of lives rode on whether they could sync up. The weather was non-negotiable. They needed a full moon for the airborne, and a low tide at dawn to expose the beach obstacles. That rare combo only appeared a few days each month. Early June offered the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then the Atlantic brewed a monster. Forecasts screamed bad news, high winds, hard rain, rough seas. Landing craft would drown, planes would be grounded. The whole plan started to wobble. In the hot seat was Group Captain James Stagg, a Scottish meteorologist. His teams disagreed. Americans saw a break. The British saw more storm. With ships already moving on June 4th, Stagg told Eisenhower to postpone. The fleet turned back, a brutal call. That night, he spotted a thin, fragile window for June 6th. Ike polled his commanders. Split room. After a long quiet, he simply said, "Okay, let's go." Meanwhile, the Allies ran a masterclass in make-believe. Operation Fortitude. Sell the idea the blow was coming at Pas de Calais, the closest jump from England. They built a phantom army, the first U.S. Army group, stationed in Kent. Inflatable tanks fooled cameras from the sky, dummy landing craft crowded harbors, and fake radio chatter buzzed. Double agents fed perfect lies straight into German ears. It worked almost too well. Even after Normandy began, Hitler and his high command kept the powerful 15th Army, panzers included, waiting at Calais for a real invasion that never came. That ghost force pinned down hundreds of thousands of troops when Normandy needed breathing room. Getting off the sand was its own boss fight. Mines, concrete, machine gun nests. The British rolled out bizarre, brilliant tanks. Hobart's Funnies, named for Major General Percy H.O. Bart. The crab flailed chains to wake mines at a safe distance. The AVRE lobbed a huge flying dustbin to smash bunkers. Others laid canvas roads on soft sand, or dropped portable bridges across ditches. Ugly, clever, life-saving. Another twist. The D.D. Sherman Duoplex Drive, a standard tank with a pop-up canvas skirt that let it float and paddle ashore, there to give instant fire support to the infantry. Usage wasn't even. On Gold, Juno, and Sword, the British and Canadians used the Funnies hard and smart, cleared lanes, saved lives. American commanders bought in less, and that gap hurt, especially on Omaha. The invasion began in darkness, just after midnight, June 6th. The first Allied soldiers into France didn't come by sea. They drifted down from the night sky. On the eastern flank, 6 British gliders from the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry landed with surgical precision. Their mission: silently seize 2 bridges over the Caen Canal and the Orne River, one soon known as Peg-Usus Bridge. They succeeded within minutes, blocking German armor from smashing the beaches at dawn. To the west, behind the American beaches, the 82nd and 101st Airborne jumped into chaos. Winds and flak scattered them far and wide. Units were mixed up, maps meaningless. But small knots of paratroopers improvised, seizing causeways, cutting communications, spooking defenders. The cost was heavy, but Utah Beach breathed easier because of them. At dawn, the main assault hit 5 beaches, each with its own story. Utah went comparatively smooth. Naval prep landed, airborne work inland sowed confusion. Fewer casualties, momentum built. Omaha was the grinder. The veteran German 300 2nd was ready. Bombardment missed. Rough water drowned most DD tanks before they could help. Americans were pinned on open sand under machine guns and artillery. For hours, the invasion hung by a thread, saved by gritty local acts of leadership and courage. Further east, the British and Canadians hit Gold, Juno, and Sword. It was vicious, Juno especially. But Hobart's funnies earned their name. Paths cleared, units pushed. By night, they'd driven farthest inland, though Caen stayed just out of reach. Landing an army is one thing, feeding it is another. The daily tonnage of food, ammo, and fuel was staggering. The Germans fortified ports like Cherbourg for exactly that reason. The Allied answer was simple and genius. If you can't capture a port, bring one. Enter the Mulberries, prefab harbors built in secret, towed across the channel in pieces, then assembled off Normandy. Concrete caissons formed a breakwater, floating piers and roadways linked to shore. 2 instant ports, one American, one British, rising from nothing. And for fuel, the lifeblood of a modern army, came PL, UTO, pipeline under the ocean. Flexible pipe unspooled from giant drums, laid on the seabed from England to France. It would pump millions of gallons to the front, no vulnerable tankers required. Quiet logistics that kept the armies swinging. D-Day's success was brutally expensive. Over 10,000 Allied casualties, more than 4,400 confirmed dead, on a single day. Omaha's scenes were horrific, but the foothold held. By nightfall, 156,000 Allied troops were on French soil. Normandy wasn't done. 2 more months of hedgerow hell, close fights, stubborn defense. But the beachhead breathed, the Mull bare ease fed it, and German focus stayed stuck on a phantom Cal-AY attack. The door to Western Europe was kicked open. From that wedge came the breakout, the liberation of Paris, and the long push toward Germany. The end of the Third Reich began here. Enjoying this? Subscribe for more WYU deep dives. D-Day was raw courage on sand, in the air, and across the fields of Normandy. It was also quiet craft work, the meteorologists in smoky rooms, the Phantom Army in Kent, the engineers drawing impossible machines, muscle plus misdirection, individual bravery backed by logistical genius. Costly, yes, but it turned the tide in the West and helped free a continent. Remember the chaos and the sacrifice on the sand, and the patient, meticulous work that made the day possible. Remember the courage and the quiet planning behind it.